Imagine building a castle. You don't just stack bricks randomly, right? You draw blueprints, measure carefully, test the foundation, and then build step by step. That's the philosophy behind Cardano the blockchain that says, slow down, let's build carefully with science and research so it lasts forever. While Bitcoin is the gold vault and Solana is the bullet train, Cardano is more like a university lab where scientists and engineers wear white coats, test every idea, and publish papers before laying a single brick. It's not just about speed, it's about being sustainable, secure, and smart like the student who studies hard while others rush into the exam. Cardano is sometimes called the academic blockchain, and its token, ADA, is named after Ada Lovelace, one of the world's first computer programmers. So, if you've ever wondered what happens when science meets crypto, welcome to the story of Cardano. The origin story of Cardano. Every great blockchain has a founder with a vision. For Bitcoin, it was the mysterious Satoshi Nakamoto. For Ethereum, it was the teenage genius Vitalik Buterin. For Cardano, the story begins with Charles Hoskinson. Charles was actually one of the original co-founders of He helped build the digital city we just talked about, but soon he realized he had a different dream. While Ethereum wanted to move fast, experiment, and build as it went, Charles wanted something slower, steadier, and more structured. He believed blockchains shouldn't just be exciting playgrounds. They should be scientific projects, tested and reviewed like medicine or space technology. In his mind, a blockchain should be like a bridge. You don't just guess and hope it doesn't fall. You calculate, test, and double-check before anyone steps on it. So in 2015, Charles and his team began working on a new project. They wanted to build a blockchain from the ground up, one based on peer-reviewed research. That meant scientists and academics would write papers about its design. Other experts would review them, and only after approval would the ideas be turned into code. This careful approach gave birth to Cardano. And to manage the project, Charles set up three main organizations: IOHK, Input Output, Hong Kong, the Research and Development Company, building Cardano, the Cardano Foundation, a nonprofit ensuring adoption and community growth, Emergo, a business arm to help companies use Cardano. The token of Cardano was named ADA, honoring Ada Lovelace, a 19th century mathematician often called the world's first computer programmer. Just like Ada brought logic and math to early computers, Cardano wanted to bring rigor and science to blockchains. At first, many people teased Cardano. It's too slow, too academic, too boring. But supporters argued, we're not racing, we're building something that will last. So while other blockchains sprinted ahead, Cardano walked carefully, brick by brick, paper by paper. Its mission: to create a blockchain that was secure, scalable, and sustainable, a system strong enough, not just for gamers or investors, but for governments, banks, and even whole countries. And that's how Cardano's story began. With a founder who valued science over speed, and a dream to build the most carefully engineered blockchain in the world. The token and its function. AAA. Every blockchain city needs a currency. On Bitcoin, it's BTC. On Ethereum, it's ETH. On Solana, it's Sol. And on Cardano, the coin is called ADA, named after Ada Lovelace, one of the first people in history to imagine computers as more than calculators. So what does ADA actually do? Let's break it down. 1. ADA as money. At the simplest level, ADA works just like digital cash. You can send it to a friend, use it to pay for goods or services, or hold it as savings. And because it runs on Cardano's blockchain, the transfer is secure, transparent, and recorded forever in the digital ledger. Imagine having coins in a magical notebook that no one can erase or counterfeit. That's ADA. 2. ADA as fuel. Every time you use the Cardano network, whether sending a transaction, interacting with a smart contract, or creating a token, you pay a small fee in ADA. These fees help keep the system running smoothly, like paying a toll to drive on a well-maintained highway. But unlike Ethereum's sometimes expensive fees, Cardano's system was designed to be efficient and affordable. 3. ADA. 4. Staking. Cardano doesn't use heavy energy-burning machines like Bitcoin's proof of work. Instead, it uses a greener system called proof of stake. Here's how it works. If you own ADA, you can stake it, lock it up temporarily to help secure the network. When you stake, you're like a citizen voting to keep the city safe. In return, you earn rewards like interest on a savings account. Cardano also introduced stake pools. If you don't have enough ADA or don't want to run your own system, you can join a pool with other people. Together, your coins add up to help secure the network, and everyone shares the rewards. 4. ADA. 4. Governance in the future. ADA holders will have a direct say in Cardano's direction. They'll be able to vote on proposals, upgrades, and funding decisions. That means owning ADA ISNT just about money at S, about having a voice in the future of the blockchain. Metaphors to remember: think of ADA as the ticket to Cardano's digital theater. Without a ticket, you can't watch the play, vote on the script, or join the cast. ADA is also like the blood in the body flowing everywhere, keeping the network alive, and like seeds in a garden. Staking ADA helps the system grow, while rewarding you with new harvests. In short, ADA is more than just a coin. It's money, fuel, a vote, and a stake in the future. Holding ADA means you not just a spectator. You a citizen of Cardano's carefully built digital world. The white paper and the original idea: every great invention starts with a plan. Bitcoin had Satoshi's famous 9-page white paper. Ethereum had Vitalik's essay describing a world computer. Cardano, true to its scientific spirit, didn't stop at one paper. It created dozens of academic papers, each reviewed by experts before a single line of code was written. That's what makes Cardano different. Instead of saying, let's build first and fix later, Charles Hoskinson and his team said, let's study, test, and prove everything before we build at all. The central idea was to design a blockchain that solved what researchers call the blockchain trilemma: scalability. Can it handle millions of users? Security. Can it resist hackers and failures? Decentralization. Can it avoid being controlled by just a few people? Most blockchains manage 2 of these well, but struggle with the third. Cardano's papers set out to prove it could achieve all 3 together. One of the most important inventions in these papers was Ouroboros Cardano's proof-of-stake protocol. Instead of wasting energy, like Bitcoin's proof of work, Ouroboros randomly chooses leaders to create new blocks, but with mathematical proofs, ensuring it's fair, safe, and efficient. The name Ouroboros comes from the ancient symbol of a snake eating its own tail, representing cycles and renewal, perfect for a system designed to keep going forever. The white papers also described a vision in layers, a settlement layer, like the foundation of a house for handling simple transfers of ADA, a computation layer on top of it for running smart contracts and apps, and later, a governance and treasury system to let the community vote and fund future growth. This layered design meant Cardano could be upgraded piece by piece without breaking the whole system. Like building a Lego castle, where you can replace one tower or wall without tearing down everything else. Another key part of Cardano's idea was formal verification. That means writing code like math equations that can be checked to be correct, not just hoped to be correct. Imagine building a bridge and proving with math that it will hold 1,000 cars before anyone drives across. Cardano wanted to bring that kind of engineering discipline into blockchain. And while many blockchains were designed mainly for crypto enthusiasts, Cardano's white papers imagined a much broader future. A system that could serve governments, banks, universities, and entire nations. A blockchain that could bring digital identity to the poor, fair finance to the unbanked, and long-term sustainability for the planet. So, if Bitcoin's white paper was like a treasure map and Ethereum's was like a blueprint for a city, Cardano's was more like a stack of science textbooks. Dense, careful, peer-reviewed, and aimed at building. Not just for today, but for the next 100 years. That's why Cardano has the reputation of being the academic blockchain. It wasn't born from a hacker's lab or a gamer's dream, but from research, math, and science. The technology and what makes Cardano different. Cardano often calls itself the third-generation blockchain, Bitcoin being the first digital money, Ethereum the second, smart contracts, and Cardano the third, sustainable, scalable, and built with science. But what exactly makes it stand out from the crowd? Let's peek under the hood. Unan Ouroboros. The heartbeat of Cardano. At the center of Cardano is its unique proof-of-stake protocol called Oro. Unlike Bitcoin's proof of work, which makes thousands of computers burn energy competing to solve puzzles. Ouroboros selects who creates the next block in a fair lottery system. Imagine a classroom where, instead of every student shouting answers at once, the teacher randomly calls one student to speak. It saves time, reduces noise, and still keeps things fair. It's not just fast, it's been mathematically proven secure. Cardano's team actually published papers to show that even if hackers controlled parts of the network, the system would still hold strong. 2. Layered architecture. Cardano separates its blockchain into layers. The settlement, layer CSL, handles ADA transactions, like the foundation of a house. The computation layer, CCL, manages smart contracts and apps like the rooms and furniture inside. This separation makes it flexible. Developers can upgrade one part without breaking the other. Most blockchains mix everything together, making upgrades messy. Cardano prefers order. 3. Smart contracts with Plutus, like Ethereum. Cardano allows smart contracts programs that run automatically on the blockchain. But Cardano uses its own language, Plutos, based on Haskell, a programming language often used in academia. Why? Because it allows for formal verification writing code like math equations to prove it's correct. Imagine a bank vault designed with math so perfect that even before testing, it won't fail. That's the dream behind Plutus! 4. Interoperability. Cardano wants to be more than an island. It's being designed to talk to other blockchains and even traditional banks. Think of it like a universal translator for money, letting systems that speak different languages connect seamlessly. 5. Scalability with Hydra to handle millions of users. Cardano is working on Hydra, a second-layer solution. The idea is that each head of Hydra can process transactions off the main chain and then report back. The more heads, the more power. Imagine a restaurant with one chef, but if that chef could grow extra arms, each one cooking a dish at the same time, suddenly the restaurant serves hundreds of meals instantly. That's Hydra. 6. Sustainability with Treasury. Unlike projects that depend on donations or endless fundraising, Cardano built a treasury system. A small portion of every transaction fee goes into a pool of funds. Then, ADA holders can vote on how to spend ADA on research, upgrades, or community projects. It's like a city that automatically collects taxes and lets citizens decide how to use them. 7. Energy efficiency. One of Cardano's proudest features is being eco-friendly. While Bitcoin consumes as much electricity as some countries, Cardano uses a fraction of that. It's like comparing a gas-guzzling truck to a solar-powered car. The big picture? Cardano isn't trying to be the fastest or the flashy. It's trying to be the most carefully engineered. Bitcoin is strong like Ion. Ethereum is creative like a playground. Solana is fast like a rocket. Cardano, it's steady like an engineered bridge, built to last for centuries. And that's what makes Cardano different. The functions and use cases of Cardano, now that we've peeked into Cardano's engine room. Let's step outside and see what people actually do with it. A blockchain isn't just cool tech, it's like a city. And in Cardano's city, each district has a purpose. 1. Payments and transfers. At its core, Cardano allows people to send and receive ADA anywhere in the world, quickly and securely. Imagine mailing a letter, but instead of taking days, it arrives instantly and no one can open or steal it on the way. That's how payments on Cardano feel, because Cardano is energy efficient and look, it's especially good for microtransaction small payments that would be impossible with high fees. Sending a few cents to a friend, tipping an artist, or paying for digital items all make sense here. 2. DeFi decentralized finance. Cardano is gradually building a world of decentralized finance where you can lend, borrow, trade, and earn interest without a traditional bank. Smart contracts, written in Plutus Power. These apps, letting people create financial Legos. For example, someone in Africa could borrow money from someone in Europe without either of them trusting a bank, just trusting the blockchain's rules. This opens finance to the unbanked people who have no access to traditional systems. 3. NFTs and digital identity. NFTs aren't just art, they're proof of ownership. On Cardano, creators can mint NFTs to sell music, paintings, or collectibles at a fraction of the cost of a That's why a vibrant Cardano NFT community has sprung up with marketplaces full of unique collections. But Cardano's vision goes further, using blockchain for digital identity. Imagine having a digital passport stored safely on the blockchain, proving who you are, your education, or even your health records. Instead of carrying papers, you carry a secure, unchangeable identity in your digital wallet. This is already being tested in countries like Ethiopia, where Cardano is working to give millions of students a blockchain-based ID to track their academic achievements. That means employers and schools can instantly verify diplomas, preventing fraud and opening new opportunities. 4. DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations. Cardano also supports DAOs, digital communities that make decisions by voting with tokens. Imagine your school class choosing the next trip, not by a teacher's decision, but by every student voting. DAOs give that same power to online groups, whether they're funding art, managing a game, or organizing activism. 5. Real-world contracts through its smart contracts. Cardano aims to support real-world applications. Farmers proving their crops are organic. Patients sharing verified health data with doctors. Governments running transparent elections. Artists selling work directly to fans without middlemen. These aren't just ideas. Pilot projects are already underway in developing countries where blockchain can leapfrog old systems. 6. Sustainability and treasury. Every transaction on Cardano sends a small piece into its treasury. That treasury then funds future upgrades and community projects. Imagine a city where every bus ticket bought adds a coin to a box. And citizens vote how to spend IT new parks, better roads, or schools. That's how Cardano stays. The Cardano city metaphor, picture Cardano like a modern city. Banks without banks in the DeFi district, art galleries, and markets for NFTs. A government hall where DAOs vote. Schools and hospitals powered by blockchain IDs. A treasury vault funding future projects, and all of it runs on a day the ticket. The fuel and the voice of Cardano's citizens. Cardano isn't just about speculation. Its biggest goal is real-world adoption, bringing blockchain to education, identity, health, and governance. Not just for crypto fans, but for entire societies. Governance and the Cardano community. If Cardano is like a carefully designed city, then who are its leaders? Who decides what gets built, when upgrades happen, and how funds are spent? The answer lies in Cardano's governance system and its unique, passionate community. 1. Governance through ADA and Cardano. ADA isn't just money, it's also a voice. By holding ADA, users can take part in the decision-making of the network. It's like owning shares in a company, but instead of a board of directors making every choice, every citizen gets a say. This happens through voting on proposals. For example, should the network upgrade to add a new feature? Should part of the treasury funds be used to support a new project? Should research focus on one problem or another? Every ADA holder can stake their coins and use them to influence these decisions. It's blockchain democracy in action. 2. The Cardano Foundation, IOHK, and Emergo. 3 organizations help guide the ecosystem. Cardano Foundation manages adoption, regulation, and community growth. IOHK, Input-Output, Hong Kong, develops the core technology and researches new features. Emergo connects Cardano to businesses and real-world use cases. Think of them as the mayor, the engineers, and the business council of the city. But unlike in traditional cities, power doesn't stay with them forever. It shifts more and more to the community of ADA holders. 3. Project Catalysts. One of Cardano's most innovative governance experiments is Project Catalysts. It's like a giant community brainstorming session mixed with crowdfunding. Here's how it works. Anyone can submit an idea for improving. The community discusses and debates. ADA holders vote. Winning projects get funded directly from the treasury. So far, Catalyst has funded hundreds of projects, from new apps to educational programs, all chosen by the people. Imagine a city where citizens don't just vote for leaders every 4 years, but constantly vote on specific projects that shape daily life. 4. The spirit of the community. Cardano's community is one of its strongest features. They call themselves Cardanians or sometimes ADA holders, but what really stands out is their global spread from Africa to Asia to South America. Cardano has built passionate communities in developing countries' places where blockchain isn't just an investment, but a real tool for change. In Ethiopia, for example, Cardano is being tested to give millions of students digital IDs for education. In other regions, farmers and small businesses are exploring how to use it for supply chains and fair trade. 5. Strengths and challenges. The governance model has strengths: decentralization. No single company controls Cardano's future. Participation. Anyone with ADA can shape the roadmap. Sustainability. The treasury ensures ongoing funding. But there are challenges too. Not all ADA holders vote, so participation is still limited. Decisions can be slow because of the careful process. Balancing science, business, and community needs is never easy. The festival metaphor: think of Cardano as a huge international festival. IOHK sets up the stage and the lights. The Cardano Foundation organizes the rules and safety. Emergo invites sponsors and businesses. But the actual performances, music, and spirit come from the people, the community members, who dance, sing, and bring the event to life. That's governance in Cardano. A shared effort where the experts prepare the structure, but the crowd decides what happens next. Advantages and risks of Cardano? Every blockchain hero has its powers and weaknesses. Bitcoin is strong, but slow. Solana is fast, but sometimes fragile. Cardano, the careful scholar, also shines brightly in some areas, but struggles in others. To understand it fully, let's weigh the advantages and the risks. Advantages: scientific foundation. Cardano is the only major blockchain built on peer-reviewed research. Every upgrade passes through academics and scientists before being implemented. This makes it feel like a skyscraper built by architects, not just enthusiastic hobbyists. Energy efficiency. Because it uses proof of stake, Cardano consumes far less electricity than Bitcoin. Some estimates say it's millions of times more energy efficient. For a world worried about climate change, this is a big win. Scalability and Hydra. With its Hydra upgrade, Cardano has a plan to process thousands or even millions of transactions per second by splitting the workload across heads. This could make it as scalable as global payment systems like Visa. Strong community. Cardano has one of the largest and most passionate communities in crypto. From Africa to Asia, Millions of people believe in its mission to serve not just investors, but entire societies. Treasury and sustainability. Cardano funds itself. With its treasury system, it doesn't depend on outside donations. The system collects a portion of fees and redistributes them based on community votes. This means Cardano can keep evolving for decades. Real-world adoption. Cardano isn't just theory. From Ethiopia's education project to supply chain pilots in agriculture, Cardano is already testing real-world use cases in developing nations exactly the places where blockchain could make the most difference. Risks: slow development because Cardano insists on peer-reviewed research. Progress is slow, while others ship features quickly. Cardano carefully publishes papers and debates. Supporters call this wisdom. Critics call it paralysis. Competition. Ethereum, Solana, Polkadot, and Avalanche are all competing to dominate smart contracts and DeFi. Some fear Cardano's tortoise pace might let faster rivals take the lead. Adoption gap. Despite its huge community, real-world usage is still limited compared to what many projects promise future results, but today, fewer apps and users are active compared to rivals. Complex technology. Cardano's focus on Haskell and formal verification makes it very secure but also difficult for average developers. Some programmers prefer simpler languages and easier ecosystems. Unproven scalability. Hydra and other upgrades sound amazing in theory, but they're still being developed. Until tested at global scale, no one knows if Cardano can truly handle millions of users smoothly. The balanced Cardano is like a student who studies carefully, takes detailed notes, and never rushes. When the exam comes, this student may score perfectly, or may realize they studied too slowly while others already moved on. Its strengths are long-term vision, security, and sustainability. Its risks are slow delivery, competition, and unproven promises. The truth is, Cardano's greatest advantage is careful. Scientific approach is also its biggest risk. In a fast-moving world, sometimes caution wins, and sometimes it leaves you behind. The present and the future of Cardano today is like a university campus that has finally opened its doors after years of planning. The buildings are there, students are arriving, and classes are starting, but the full potential is still unfolding. Let's look at where Cardano stands now and where it might be headed. The present smart contracts are live. For years, Cardano was criticized for being slow and academic with no real apps. But now, with the Alonzo upgrade, smart contracts are running on the network. That means developers can finally build DeFi platforms, NFT marketplaces, and dApps directly on Cardano. NFT. Boom. Cardano has quietly become a hub for NFTs because minting is cheaper than on-off. Artists and collectors have flocked to Cardano marketplaces like CNFT, EONJ, PG Store. For many, Cardano NFTs feel more accessible, like a smaller but friendlier art district compared to Ethereum's expensive galleries. DeFi rising. DeFi on Cardano is still small compared to Ethereum or Solana, but platforms like SundaSwap and MinSwap have launched. Liquidity pools, lending, and decentralized exchanges are slowly filling the ecosystem. It's still early days, but the foundation is there. Real-world partnerships, perhaps the most exciting part. Cardano isn't just playing in the crypto bubble. In Ethiopia, it's building digital IDs for 5 million students, allowing schools and employers to verify education records securely. In other regions, Cardano is testing supply chain tracking for farmers. These are signs of Cardano's mission for social impact. The future, Hydra scaling. The Hydra upgrade is Cardano's big bet for scalability. By creating many heads that process transactions in parallel, Hydra could give Cardano the ability to handle millions of transactions per second. If successful, Cardano could rival traditional global payment systems. Full governance through Project Catalyst and future governance upgrades. ADA holders will gain even more control. Imagine citizens not just voting for a mayor, but directly voting on every city budget, policy, and upgrade. Cardano's governance aims to put its future fully in the hands of the community. Global adoption. Cardano's long-term vision is clear. Bring blockchain to the developing world. If it succeeds improving its solutions in Africa, Asia, and South America, it could leapfrog traditional finance and become the backbone of education, healthcare, and identity for millions. Competition and survival, but Cardano's future isn't guaranteed. Ethereum 2.0, Solana, Avalanche, and Polkadot are all evolving. Cardano must prove not only that it can scale, but also that it can attract enough developers and users to stay relevant. The big question: will Cardano's cautious, scientific approach pay off in the long run? Or will its slow pace let faster rivals dominate? Right now, it's like a marathon where the tortoise has finally found its stride. The race is far from over, and the next few years will decide if Cardano is just a respected research project or a global blockchain powerhouse. Cardano is not just another blockchain. It's a philosophy. While others rush to build quickly, Cardano chose the long road, studying, testing, and proving every step like a scientist before laying the foundation of its digital city. It is the tortoise of crypto. Slow, steady, deliberate, and just like in the old fable, sometimes the tortoise wins because it never loses sight of the finish line. With its token, ADA Cardano gives people more than money. It gives them a voice in governance, a tool for smart contracts, and a ticket to an ecosystem that aims to change how education, finance, and identity work not just for the wealthy, but for billions who've been left out. Today, Cardano is alive with NFTs, DeFi, and global partnerships. Tomorrow, it may be the blockchain running schools, hospitals, and elections in countries across the world. Its promise is not just about profit, but about real-world impact. But the question remains, will this cautious path pay off? Or will speedier rivals take the spotlight before Cardano's careful blueprint is finished? Only time will tell. So let me ask you, if you had to bet your pocket money, would you choose the rocket that might crash or the tortoise that just might carry the world on its back? If you're curious to see how this story unfolds, don't stop here. Keep learning, keep exploring, and subscribe before the next chapter of crypto history races past you. Because with Cardano, the journey has only just begun.